What's going on, guys? Brandon here from Epic Coaching. So we have just finished recording Heading into Battle episode 2, and this will come out, well, you're probably already watching it, obviously. Just to let you know, there was some technical difficulties, so it does cut off about 40 minutes in. Unfortunately, the second lot of that we did record didn't get saved for some reason. But if you do have any questions, please pop us an email. All our details are below, and we will try and answer them the best we can. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. Oh, hello, Mr. Poley. Good. Brooke, how are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Welcome to our coaching call.
Exciting.
So, Gwen and I had a conversation about this last night going, we can't believe people want to listen to us talk shit for an hour.
It's the best though.
Oh, Luke.
Look at him.
How's your shoulder? I think he said it's better than what it was some time ago.
Yeah, I think he's very far away from his camera.
Oh, his mic. I think that I can lip read really well, and Luke said that I'm going to beat him at big dogs.
Oh, that was a nice little... No.
It's really faint, bro.
Hold on, I'll put my headset on.
Love it how he's...
Just make me look bigger.
Yeah, he looked bigger. He's probably weighing like 138 by now. Hello, Ariane.
You hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Hi guys,
How are you, Ariane?
pretty good. How about yourself?
Good,
Hello,
thanks.
Arian.
Hi Glenn,
Miss you.
miss you.
How is the lockdown treating you guys?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, fair.
No, just a bunch of little bitches.
That's just the classic Luke Poley, I am the big dog here response. I love it.
But I'm not. I'm the little big dog here. The big dog is in Melbourne in lockdown.
Poor guy.
So I can call him a whinging little bitch because I'm 1,000 miles away.
Luke's been bullying me every single time I complain about anything. He's just been roasting the shit out of me.
Luke has?
Yeah.
He's like that.
Yeah,
He's
we
very
love
like
him though.
For some reason. All right, well, what we might do is
Okay.
we might get started, and as people, there are a few more to trickle in, but we'll just let them in. So what I'll do right now is I'll mute everyone, apart from obviously Gwen. Sometimes I want to mute you. And guys, if you have any questions throughout the conversation, there is a little chat box at the bottom of your screen, and it's open, like I've opened it up on my end. So if you have any, Brian, hello. If you want to jump in or ask any questions at any time, please just throw it up in the chat box and we will get to it as soon as we can. Dwayne, do you have anything to add before we get into the crux of it? Also, a massive welcome, Brian. A massive thank you from myself and Dwayne for jumping in on board with this. We are quite astounded you guys want to listen to us talk shit for an hour. But we do really appreciate your time. So we'll just start off, and Dwayne, fire away.
You made this like an interview, like you had control of this, but it's the complete opposite. You had
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, well, I knew you were going to welcome anyone, so I was like, I got this.
You look really good today. How was your sleep? Can you come a little closer to the camera just so I can see you a little bit better? How much did you get good sleep last night? You were wrecked last night.
Oh, bro, I was cooked last night. So after we spoke, in getting out of the car, I just felt every muscle in my body be like, you trained well. Went pretty much straight inside, got ready for bed, read before bed, And then sleep was really good. So since we last spoke, I've got that Fitbit.
Hey,
I know, right?
hey.
I just want to point out, I thought you meant they were like, when you like save up cash, I was like, they're $500. They're super expensive. Yeah, well, then I went in and I was like, oh, it's only $100.
Oh, really?
I know a person at JB, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to buy an Aura ring next week.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm getting a little too crazy with my data and things like that. Like I've said to you before, I'm becoming more and more and more like fascinated, like really, truly, deeply fascinated about like human improvement, human performance.
Yeah.
I think that at the moment is probably one of the things that can give me a really sort of key indicator of how, number one, where my recovery is going. Number two, because also, we're not all pro powerlifters. Not all of us can obviously gain an entire income from powerlifting yet. I am still in a position where I have to be really still high functioning because obviously working in the bank. So I can get an indication based off the metrics that happens overnight of where my head, my ability to obviously make really sort of high level cognitive decisions and things like that. So anything to obviously help that and give me an edge, obviously both from a professional perspective, but also a physical and competitive perspective, and obviously very soon a business perspective, I'm going to leverage to my advantage, right? And obviously the guys and girls that do coach and get ready for a comp or comps or a season, I urge them to do the same sort of thing. So have you got it on right now?
Yeah, and like to add on to that, man, like it's not necessarily made me, it's made me aware of what I'm actually doing throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like I think the first day I got it and I wore it on a Saturday before 12 p.m. So before lunchtime, I'd already done 10,000 steps.
There you go.
And that's a lot. And that's just from walking in the gym coaching.
Yeah.
And so it just blew my mind. And then the sleep aspect's been really good because I've been able to kind of match up with how I'm feeling with like actual data, so I can get a tangible measurement going. Okay, I feel I slept pretty average.
Yes.
Watch says, yeah, you slept like shit. You were super restless, and then I can kind of backtrack and I go, well, I didn't read before bed, or I had too much TV before, or something, whatever it is. And then so it's allowed me to make more educated decisions.
Yeah, and obviously, when we're talking about a high performance sport, and everyone works differently. I work in ranges, so I have a percentage guesstimate of where we're going to end up for the day, in order for us to obviously execute in the best position that we can. But obviously, it works out over a range. So if we've had shit sleep, back to back, or the night before, or poor hydration, whatever it may be, we're obviously in a position to make a key decision now to maybe, if we were money the day before with our sleep, with our hydration, with our nutrition, we could put ourselves in a position to be at the high end of the range, and vice versa. If we're obviously in a poor position to make that decision based on metrics that are the information and data that we've gathered. And it's obviously data, sleep, hydration, how much water, your nutrition, which is really obviously really easy, and you leverage lead because of that. And obviously, little other things as well, like I asked you, come a little bit closer so I can see if there's any extra information. An easy one that my coach used to do, particularly really deep into a prep, probably about this sort of mark, was he'd be like, show me your hands. I'd show him my hands, and he'd be like, you could see like the white marks on your fingernails, so you're lacking in zinc and all this sort of stuff. So you need to obviously be aware of that to make a better decision. So obviously get the output that we're looking to get. That's good so far. I'm really glad that you did that. So then it measured your sleep. It tells you exactly your REM sleep, your deep sleep.
Yep.
So what was it yesterday? Because I haven't checked the spreadsheet yet.
That's right. Where is it? So last night's sleep was 2 hours and 16 minutes in REM sleep, so REM sleep, which was about 30%. 4 hours in light sleep, which is 50%. 10% in deep sleep, and I spent 50 minutes awake.
50?
50, so which made up 11%.
Which is really good. From a recovery perspective, where your metrics should be geared towards, where your efforts should be geared towards, is your REM and your deep sleep. I'm probably in a very, because I'm heavier, and obviously you got Polly listening in as well. When you get heavier, your body weight will go. I'm sorry. When you get heavier, your sleep will go. It's the first thing.
And that's what I've noticed as well. So since COVID, I weighed in at 93 kilos, and now I'm 108.4.
Yeah.
That's a big 15 kilo jump for someone my size, like relative to me.
Yeah.
And man, first thing to go was sleep.
Yeah, exactly right. And then obviously there's a trickle down effect of that as well. Your sleep's obviously going to deteriorate a little bit. We need to combat the fact that your body weight is 15 kilos higher with Leah. You said by midday you'd taken an extra 10,000 steps at 108 kilos. We need to factor that into your recovery in order to make a really good decision for the coming week. And just like we did, was it yesterday that you spotted? Yesterday.
Yes.
Make a decision. Okay, cool. We've had good sleep, we've had good hydration, we've taken we've got X amount of activity going. We're in a really good position to obviously go up to the higher end of that percentage, which we did.
100%. And I think it's this, like, the one aspect that I've really focused on the last week, speaking with yourself, is hydration. And like consistent, like, you can drink all the bowls of water you want. You think you're at a certain level, but actually tracking hydration and how much water you're getting, fuck, that's made a difference. Especially on my off days recovery. Like, I feel really cooked, and usually I'd feel really cooked and fatigued.
Yeah.
As long as I get my hydration in, man, it's a massive difference.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've really, really noticed in this last 2
We
years.
had a conversation with Leah around sodium and potassium and things like that for pre-workout and nutrition pre-workout or anything, or intra-workout at all.
She's got me having some like staminated with potassium during training.
Yeah.
Nothing specifically pre-training. We've kind of set up that as long as I'm eating these pre-training, that I'm good to go in the session.
Yeah.
Which has been really good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Not because normally, I always say between 1,000 and 1,500 milligrams of sodium combined with the right amount of potassium. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But, it goes a long way in regards to your performance.
100%. And sodium's been a big aspect for me since dealing with before my stomach issues. I was having a conversation. I think it was Broderick Chavez. He was saying, like, with my gut issues, what was going on with my esophagus at the time, that looking into the vertical diet that Stan Efferdine put out might be something very useful for me. Yeah. And I read a lot of his information around sodium, and everything's sodium based now. I put so much salt on everything.
Yeah.
To the point. Yeah. And it's something so simple as that I think people overlook, just like salting your meals.
Yeah. Especially for someone who's 108 kilos, because 108 kilos to a normal human being is fucking really big.
And that's what I forget that.
Yeah.
Because I look at my friendship circle, yourself, Luke, Ariane's like 105, I'm going to roughly say. And then the people I hang around daily, I'm one of the lighter ones.
Yeah.
Like, I think, oh, yeah, cool, this is just normal. But then, you go to, again, look at a normal person, the average weight of a male is around 80 kgs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe I'm not so average.
Yeah, exactly right.
Jump in. We have a question from Luke. CPAP machines help a lot. One of those gadgets would be good to measure the sleep rhythm. Yeah.
The great, I obviously sleep with the CPAP, and obviously Polly does as well, being a bigger human being. It does measure your sleep, but it doesn't actually, the only problem with the CPAP, it doesn't actually tell you exactly from a heart rate perspective, which an Aura Ring does. It actually give you the direct information to be able to tell you, X, Y, Z, in terms of, how much you had for REM sleep, how much you had for deep sleep, how much you had for light sleep, and obviously how much time that you're actually awake. And I know from my experience with, over the past few years with leveraging a Fitbit and obviously looking at information around and statistics around my sleep quality, that I could make better decisions and my performance was better on those days. It was obviously higher amounts of REM and higher amounts of deep sleep. Unless that, well, I haven't seen a CPAP that measures heart rate. It obviously gives you time that you're asleep and things like that. But
also, with the looking into the sleep cycles now and understanding that a light sleep's actually still really good for recovery. We always hear people talk about deep sleep and getting that deep sleep, but
you need it.
We need that light sleep as well. That's actually where a lot of the restoration happens, which is a really cool insight. And that's being able to track data and on like that from a Fitbit. And And I've used a CPAP machine before, and I'll probably get another one again soon. But the biggest difference with my sleep this time around is the nutrition aspect. Being more consistent with my nutrition and not being more strict or disciplined with it, so to speak, has allowed me to actually sleep a lot better. I'm not, with the foods I've had to cut out, I'm not like clogging myself up, so to speak. And Brooks asked, thoughts on salt tablets?
I haven't used salt tablets. I normally just use, to be honest, I just use salt. I'm eating salt. But they obviously have its place.
I'm on the same opinion. I've never really kind of experimented with salt tablets. I know a few people take them on comp day to try and prevent cramping, but
the one time that I've actually used a salt tablet when I was feeling flat and tired in like an 85% session, it actually made me feel like I was going to vomit. So just be
that's the other thing. If you're not eating it or using it with food and you're just taking it by itself, you're going to feel like shit. And I think it's something that as well, salt, it can throw out the balance of, how much sodium to potassium you hold in the muscle, so which could actually make you cramp more. So don't throw in a salt tab on comp day and then wonder why you're cramping.
Talk to me about, it was Monday we benched?
Yep.
How'd we go Monday?
We went good. And I knew it was a rep PR coming. And it was 127.5 you programmed for 5. And that was after the heavy dumbbell press. And I got 4 out of the 5. Lost my positioning. I was just fatigued after those fucking heavy dumbbells. They cooked me, which was obviously the point. We've discussed that. But it's got me really excited to see what I can do when I'm not fatigued from heavy dumbbell pressing.
We've talked about the prehab. We talked about that before. Do you have anything with do you do anything specifically for your prehab, particularly for your scapular stabilization?
Yeah, so I go through a series of some basic retraction and elevation, and then retraction, elevation, and retraction and depression drills, as well as lower trap engagement, and then a high angle bicep curl for my elbows.
Okay. What about like stuff for like serratus and things like that?
Kettlebell bottoms up press, a half kneeling, and then I'll go bench.
Okay, cool. Just because sometimes it's very easy to be, scapular instability can sometimes be amplified by a weakness through serratus. And obviously from a bench press perspective, we need to be able to stabilize. You can't really see, but you need to be able to stabilize and pull down.
Yeah. And I think serratus gets overlooked purely because of its function in the upward rotation of the scapula. Like as soon as we go overhead, that's when your serratus is really, really engaging as an antagonist almost to the scap.
Yeah.
But it gets confusing because we're out here in this position, but as soon as we arch, like we're almost in that overhead position, if we can think about that in I guess a 3D dimension, whatever you want to call it. So the serratus is actually super active right now. The other aspect to that is that it doesn't get trained often.
True. Because
as soon as we chuck on a belt, we're more than likely to switch off our serratus through deadlifting and squatting.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think you're going to do in 2 weeks when I deload you next week, and then I add them in the week after? Do you want to do them as a prehab, or do you think your stability is good enough where I don't need to necessarily be really sort of hone them in on that?
I think my stability is something that I've really worked on, at a level where I can do it in my prehab. It's working, and then let's go. And then there's a couple of things that I do within my training to make sure I'm getting that kind of serratus activation. Yeah. So I stole a one-arm row. What was it called? A one-arm row variation of Jordan Shallow to just make sure I'm actually training my serratus.
The dumbbells were great. We did.
They were heavy.
Well, they're meant to be heavy. What do we do? 2x6 or 2x8 on
2x8 at 55, which is a rep PR.
Yeah, which is a rep PR. So we're obviously going to deload that next week. We'll pull it out straight away.
Yep.
And then we will add in your overload work as we get closer to obviously heavier triples, heavier doubles, as we get closer to a comp.
Yeah.
So be anticipatory of the fact that that's obviously going to be out.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to add in like a red slingshot or a blue slingshot and go like 7%, 10%.
Yeah.
On whatever we're working on.
Yeah.
The idea behind the dumbbells is a pre-fatigue idea. It's both a pre-fatigue and the fact that he is only 108 kilos. In what weight class? 125, right? Or 110?
110.
He's 108 kilos in a 110 kilogram class. So he needs the good weight. He needs the good hypertrophy to be able to maximize his body weight. So that's the plan with that. My plan is to go to triples next up session, which is obviously in 2 weeks, and we're probably looking at about like off the top. I haven't really sort of sat down, really gone over the film really hard, but 127, which could have very, very easily been 5, which is and was a rep PR. You know, we could easily go like we should be able to go like 135 for a triple, and then obviously build off that.
Which will be a rep PR in itself.
Could be a PR as well. And then pretty much, I want to add in another row, probably another. I can't remember, forgive me. Do you seal row on the bench day as well?
No, it's chest supported.
Okay.
Of a incline bench.
Okay.
And I seal row on deadlift day.
Cool. So, and that's at a 45 or a 30 degree?
The seal row?
The dumbbell support.
30.
May add in some more volume somewhere there, just so that I'm confident, and just so that I'm okay with the fact how you're moving the bar off your chest.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Joints were all good, no issues.
My knees are a bit.
From the bench day?
From the bench day, no, fine, completely fine. Hips holding up really well, I'm getting used to being back in the arch position.
Yeah.
Obliques holding up really well, so it felt good. Elbows are fine at the moment. I am very aware that it is coming into comp season, and I am wrapping a few more people, but making or putting in contingencies around that, so I know when I can wrap people, and this is a no-go zone.
Yeah, of course. If we need to shuffle things around because of work, then obviously we can. And if we need to fiddle with volume in order to sort of like be conscious of the extra added stresses, then we can do that as well.
Well, I know for the next comp season kicks off this week, and from now on I'll be taking every Monday off work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be working 7 days a week for the next 3 months.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, that's a silly thing to do. So Mondays will be off, which will be like my Sunday, and then I'll probably do I might switch around my bench days or upper body days, depending.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. When's the last time you saw Paul?
This morning.
Okay. What did Paul say?
Pretty much keep going what I'm doing. He just
Paul is who again?
Paul is my exercise physiologist and one of the smartest human beings known to man. He pretty much needled all through my oblique again, released my right hip flexor and TFL, and manipulated my SIJ, and walked out feeling great.
Yeah, and there was no issues with even in the hole on yesterday?
No issues in the hole.
Until later.
Yeah, not until later. That hip kind of flared up in the high bar.
Yeah. Talk me through your the squat session.
So the squat session was, I wasn't anxious about it, but I was nervously excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, my max being 200 in sleeves and going to a session reading the program, it said 190 for 5.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be a big ask, and I prepped, I think, really well for it. I had a okay sleep the night before. I think the score came back as fair, but I knew I've subconsciously organized my day on a Wednesday to put me in a position where I can squat really well. Mm-hmm. So I napped for a good hour and a half, which is more like a sleep than a nap. I ate a lot of food, we spoke yesterday about the work or life stress that kind of impacted the way I would eat before a session. But I didn't buy into that, and I just knew I had to execute on the 190 for 5. Going into the session, I felt a bit flat. So it's one of the first sessions I've actually just had a shot of coffee beforehand.
Yeah.
Felt fine, warmed up, kind of just distanced myself and just really put the headphones in, got to a place where I needed to be to execute on it, where I felt strong.
Mm-hmm.
The 190 for 5 kind of surprised me a little bit at how easy it was.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to be in for a fucking shit fight.
Yeah.
And then obviously you FaceTimed me and I knew exactly what you were going to say. And it was like, it's the, do you know, like the first Captain America movie where, he's getting enlisted for the army and he's like, is this a test? When you called 195 and you were like, just see how your hip goes, I was like, this is a test. I don't actually have an option here. It's 195, all in or die.
Mind fucked you really good.
Well, I was just like, I know what he's doing. So obviously you called 195 and man, I was stoked with how that moved.
Mm.
I feel like I hit the hole a lot harder, like as after our conversation, and I was a little bit hesitant in that first 190.
Yeah.
Obviously, back was good, but I was like, oh, what am I feeling? And that kind of just got in my head. But I was like, no, just execute. And after our conversation, that's what I just focused on. Was just go to your place where I need to go and execute.
Cool. I like the language. I like the constructive self-talk, which is a massive battle for even for myself as well. So I'm proud of you for that. You've done a good job there. The critical feedback that I would give is to continue to work on that discipline around attacking the hole.
Yeah.
The way I talk about it in the seminars and executing the squat is that you can't hesitate.
Mm.
Each rep should be a situation where it's gun to my head, and if I don't get this done quickly and do this well, then I'm gonna die, or something's gonna happen. So the more and more you put yourself in a position where you're reaching for depth or slowing down or hesitating, the more energy is obviously taxing off yourself. Right? And now we're in a position where we're going like 100% at that rep range. We can't afford to fuck up.
Yeah.
Can't afford to waste energy. Because not only is that putting us in a bad position now, that's putting us in a bad position for our deload. So imagine like if we were to execute perfectly that day, right? Ultimately, out of 10, we would have used up 90% of what I wanted that day. That would have been absolutely perfect. But because we hesitated, right, we've used more than we had.
Yeah.
Right? So we're using 92, 94, 95, 96, whatever it may be. So then from a super compensation perspective for the following week for your deload, right, we need to be even more conscious of the fact of what training effect that we're going to get, and then pick numbers the following week to obviously talk towards that.
Yeah.
Right. So if we think about that in the small picture, and then put that together over a macro cycle, how much energy have we wasted over 6 months, over 12 months, over 3 years?
Yeah.
The efficiency with your technique, efficiency with your execution, and how you obviously go through your lifts, and even obviously your ancillary lifts and accessories play a big role in how you get from point A to point B.
Yep.
Right? So don't hesitate, just attack it. You should continue to work on, obviously, number one, the mentality around having the confidence in your body to be able to do those lifts. I wouldn't put you in a position where you would be like, oh, I don't know if I can actually fucking do this, right? Have the confidence in yourself and just get after it.
And that's one thing I really was, insight to that, proud of myself for doing. I was on that 195.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, G's called it. Let's listen to him. Let's not listen to what my brain's going to spit out.
Yeah.
He said 195, go fucking execute.
Yeah. Too many times I see this, and as you can just quantifiably imagine how much energy we've wasted over a period of time. Imagine if that was Luke, right? How long has that guy been lifting for? The guy's been lifting for 100 years. There's 100 years. Imagine he was doing that for 100 years for every training session 4 times a week. That's a lot of fucking energy that is overexpended that he
Yep.
could have put back into his prep to be better for.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's like when you say it like that, you can look at it. You can go, well, that's energy I can then put into, going for a recovery
Yeah.
and just doing other things to
Making
100%.
better decisions.
Yep.
So I'm really happy with what ultimately, if like gun to your head, if I was like, Brando, you need to do this for 5, otherwise we're gonna kill your family. Like you probably had like 202
Yeah.
for 5.
Yeah.